Hi, I'm Kyle Horsman. I'm a product specialist within Turck. My main focus would be position sensors, as you can see from the slide here. And Turck position sensors really just involve anything that's going to measure linear, rotary, or angular type applications. Within the linear families of Turck products, we've got a few different technology types. The first of which we're going to talk about is actually an inductive technology. It falls in line with this Q-Track series. It's just the registered trademark name, but it's an inductive technology. What that really includes is that it's a printed circuit board inside the sensor and a set of coils and some sort of a positioning element that rides on top in a non-contact fashion, and the two components just talk back and forth to each other. As you can see on the screen, there's three different housing sizes. There's a QR14, Q17, and Q25, and really those are just there to give you different options as far as a linear stroke length for measurement. As a little bit further of a discussion, we do have some videos that are going to be nestled inside here, and if you choose to, you can certainly watch those as well. It gives you a little bit more of a description of what you see out in these current slides. Hi, I'm Kyle Horsman, and today we're going to talk about some of Turck's offering when it comes to linear position sensors. With the linear inductive technology, which is what you'll see inside these products we're going to show you in a second here, it's really just a printed circuit board which is inside the sensor housing, and it goes up to a set of coils which are in a positioning element. Those two parts, when combined together, talk to each other to give us a feedback of where the element is in relation to the sensor when traveling in a linear motion. So this family of sensors that you see here is the QR14 family, meaning it's 14 millimeters thick. As you can see, it looks like a standard inductive proximity style housing, but it's used to measure continuous linear feedback along this linear stroke here. So the element goes from one side to the other, or vice versa. These products do have the ability to be taught. So if you want your 4 milliamp side to start here, move across to a 20 milliamp, we can set that in that direction, or we can also teach it in the opposite, so 4 milliamps to 20 milliamps. These particular products give you both types of analog feedback, as in 4 to 20 milliamp and 0 to 10 volt output, all in the same unit. It just uses a separate wire for each type of analog, as well as a fifth wire for the teaching capability. This product has high resolution at a 12-bit resolution, and it's got a maximum stroke length, or a maximum measuring length, of 25 millimeters, meaning from one side to the other we can get a maximum of 25, but it can be taught down to a smaller range. As I said, the element would actually ride on top of it. It is a floating non-contact positioning element, and it just needs to be within the active range on here. And the way to tell that is we have got two LED locations on here, one for power and one for your positioning element, telling you that you are within active range and that you're measuring correctly. The next product in our linear family, which is a step up in size from the QR14 housing, is our Q17 housing. So still a profile shape, 17 millimeters in thickness. Now this product has different potential ranges on it. It has anywhere from a 50 millimeter stroke, which would be about a 2-inch, all the way up to 300 millimeter stroke length. So it's really meant for those applications where space constraints are a necessity, as well as still getting linear position measurement out. One of the other nice features about this product is it actually comes with your mounting feet. We've got right angle mounting feet as well as straight mounting feet. And they just snap into the housing. There's some grooves inside the housings for them to actually snap inside of. The other nicety is that it uses the same positioning element as the QR14. So if you happen to have multiple products, this element will work on either one. And it's not like they're taught to a particular sensor. One sensing element can be used for multiple products. And it works the same way. So as that positioning element moves across the sensor face, we will get a corresponding output. And like the QR14, this one comes with 4 to 20 milliamp or 0 to 10 volt output all in one unit. We also have some mobile equipment versions, which are a 0.5 to 4.5 volt output, and they work down on a little bit lower operating voltage level. than your traditional in-factory type devices. But again, the Q17 housing, it'll get you a little bit longer stroke lengths. It's still 12-bit resolution. It's fully teachable, so you can teach a beginning and an end point, or vice versa. You can go a beginning to an end point. And it uses the same element, comes with all the mounting accessories, all in one package. It's very economical and works great for those opportunities of 300 millimeter strokes or less. And finally, in the linear inductive family, we have the Q25 housing. So this product is 25 millimeters tall, or just shy of 1 inch. It's actually got an extruded aluminum housing with a plastic top, whereas the other two products were completely plastic. This gives us more rigidity because with this product line, we're able to do anywhere from a stroke length from 50 millimeters all the way up to 2 meters in length. So from 50 to 2,000 millimeters, or 2 meters in length, which means that when you install, you need a little bit more of a rugged housing that's going to hold up during the installation and during the course of its life. But one of the features of also having this extruded aluminum housing is that we have the ability with a captive element, we can actually slide it in the grooves to get that linear feedback. So instead of having a floating element, which we also have, we've got a positioning element that gives you the linear stroke length. And this too, like the other products, can be taught from one direction to the other, or vice versa. You can be taught from this side and work up to here. So this product has a number of different output capabilities. We can still do our 0 to 10 volt or 4 to 20 milliamp in one device. We can also do SSI outputs as well as IO link. In addition to that, we've got a number of different mounting accessories and hardware and other accessories that can go along with the product to make it easier for installation and during use. The one key advantage to this series is that it's also an enhanced resolution and an enhanced robust product. So what I mean by that is this product has 16 bits of resolution over the entire stroke length that you order. It also gives you a podded device, which gives us 200 Gs of shock and vibration for very, very robust, rugged environments where the product is going to hold up. It's also a much faster sampling rate internally. This is a 5 kilohertz sampling rate, which means it's extremely fast. So you can put it in environments where that linear travel back and forth is happening in an extremely accelerated motion pattern. So what you're seeing here is that we've had this Q25 housing for a number of years. And as we're trying to explain here in the old versus new, the E designation that you see in the left column here just means it's an enhanced resolution series of analog output. Obviously you can read all the specifications. The biggest thing that you're going to note from the existing series, which is still available, is that obviously the resolution is much higher. You're going to get a much faster sampling rate. And then the biggest key for what we've been asking for a long time with this family is the different lengths. So previously we were always limited to measurements up to 1 meter. Now, as you can see, there's 4 additional lengths that were put out. It's a 1250, a 1500, a 1750, and a 2000 millimeter stroke length. As you can see from this slide, and as well as the following slide, is there's a number of different competitive units that are available on the market with a number of different technologies, most of which, at least what I see for competition, is actually on the following slide, being BALF units or MTS, or there's a few other ones, Drell and some different ones. But just know that it gives you a few brief snapshots of different specifications. But when we're talking about technology types, there's a main difference in costing. And that being, if you're talking about anyway that has a traditional magnetic type product, they're typically a little bit on the cheaper side. And that's really where our inductive, our Q-Track families fit in, is that we can compete with those. Now, if you're talking about customers that are using something that's a linear potentiometer, a linear pot, string pot, something like that, those are usually a very low cost type product. They wear out faster, and our real advantage over those is the fact that we don't have the moving parts that those do. So even though their upfront cost is actually lower, overall lifespan is going to be much longer, obviously reducing the overall cost to the customer. The next family of products that we have in our linear series is actually, it's a little bit older of a series. It's the Easy Track family, as you can see here. This is a magnetostrictive technology, meaning that it actually uses a magnet to monitor position. So there's actually a length of wire that runs internal to the sensor, and it needs a magnet present in order to give you position feedback. One of the main advantages to this is that it doesn't necessarily need to be a Turck magnet. You could have a setup where you use, say, a magnet that's already installed on a cylinder, for instance, and we're just trying to give you linear feedback over that. We can actually tune our devices to see other magnets, assuming that the strength is within reason. But there's a number of different housings. As you can see, there's a rod style that's usually goes in cylinder. The very bottom one being the Q21, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in just a second, is a profile series that just gives you linear measurement. And then the rightmost is actually our R16 product, which is primarily used for level indications, say in tanks or something that's trying to give me a continuous fluid measurement of say diesel fuel or some sort of a liquid oil or something of that nature, but it's really there for a level measurement. So the Q21 family is our profile series. It's one of the thinnest on the market. And obviously you see some of these bullet points. The auto tuning, what that is that's what I had talked about previously about being able to match up somebody else's magnet to our sensor. But these are fully programmable as far as if you don't need the full 100 millimeters of range, for instance, you could actually teach within 25 millimeters or something smaller if you need. The disadvantage of this over, say, our previous Q-Track family is that, one, these are going to be considerably more money. They don't have the ability to change direction on them, so if you want to go from the connector end to the far side of the sensor, that's the standard. But if you needed to, for whatever reason, flop it around and go backwards, we don't have the ability to teach the opposite direction like we do with the Q-Track family. But they do have Class 1 Div 2 approvals, and these do have LED indications on them, just like our other families. So just know that if you had, the real advantage to these is that we can do much longer lengths. So if you have applications where you're trying to do something over that 2 meter or that 6 foot range, this is your family. So then the last series of products that we have, at least in the linear sense, is more of a traditional encoder package. This family, which is our linear magnetics, it just uses a tape that can be a magnetic tape that can be stretched out indefinitely. So if you've got really, really long runs where you're trying to do just measurement, position measurement along the way, this is the series. So what it really does is it's just checking the pole changes, the north and south magnetic pole changes along the magnetic tape. And that magnetic tape is just adhesive down to whatever you're trying to run along. But it just gives you those pole changes, and it puts out an output corresponding to your position based on those. It's much cheaper option than some other ones, but the main thing is that you can run fast, and these things can run a really, really long application. So an extension of the linear encoder family is we do have a full series of draw wires. Many people don't know that Turck in general has a very strong encoder portfolio, and to kind of go along with that, we also have a full draw wire series. So this is going to give you that linear measurement, but it uses a rotary product to do so. So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, we've got a drum basically that has a wheel inside, and there's wire that gets pulled out in a linear sense, but that wheel on the inside is physically connected to a traditional encoder, and then we can get you any type of feedback that you require in your application. So we can do fairly long runs with these linear runs, but as you can see, there's a number of different encoders we could put on there. So if you have a specific type of output that you want to work with, the fact that we have a very full encoder portfolio means that we can connect this any way that the customer really needs it to make sure that we meet all the requirements of their application. This particular slide is just showing you a piece of literature that we had come up with to make it a little bit easier for all of you actually to specify a draw wire product. This particular literature is available on the Turck app. You guys can reference it, download it, send it out, whatever. But it's really just there to give you an idea of the measuring ranges that are available, in what size of housing that we have it, and then what type of outputs go along with it. Is it just an incremental? Is it an analog? Is it a bus product? But that at least will give you a one-page cheat sheet to try to work your way down, because I mean, I know our entire encoder portfolio is a little bit hard to navigate because it's so broad, and there's so many options. But at least this, it'll help you narrow down just trying to find the right product quickly. And then obviously if you have any questions, you can come to me, you can come to our applications group, and then we can help you narrow down any bit further. Turck has a full line of encoder products, which can be broken down into two types of subfamilies. We have a linear set of products as well as a rotary set. What you see in front of you here is just a small sampling of some of the linear products. So what that's doing is it's using a traditional encoder output, but we're doing it in a linear sense. So one of the family types is a magnetic type of product. This is just a reed head that uses magnetism to detect a position value. And then as you see on the bottom here, there's a magnetic strip, and this strip has poles, north and south poles, magnetic poles on them. And this strip can be laid down the full length of the application, and essentially it can go on indefinitely because it's just a pole change. It's hard, you can't see it on the picture, but there's just pole changes. And what happens here is once this strip is laid down, there is an adhesive backing on the back of it that you just stick it down to whatever you're trying to mount to. The reed head, all it does is it travels along in a non-contact form, and it gives you positional values as it passes along this magnetic tape. Again, this magnetic head, we've got essentially two different product types. We've got an incremental type product that's just a pulsed output or a quadrature style output, available in both low level and high level outputs, and that being a 5-volt signal or say a 24-volt signal. The second set of products is actually an absolute family of products, so it'll give you absolute positioning values with some type of bus output. So it's like an industrial protocol type output. Moving on to a product that's more of it's a rotary product used internally to a linear type device. So with draw wire products, which we've got a full family of, what we're doing here is actually housing a rotary encoder inside of a housing, and as you extend or retract a wire coming out of here, it gives you the positional value based on what it's seeing. The advantage to this is we've got small ones, big ones. We can do just about every type of range you can imagine. But the key part is we've also got a full line of rotary encoders, so you can buy a housing that fits your application, and we can put on just about any type of encoder product on the back of this. So it doesn't just have to be incremental, it could be absolute as well. And we have a full line of absolute products with just about every bus protocol or any type of industrial output you can imagine. But again, we've got small ones that can go, down to just a few inches in stroke, and our largest model is all the way up to 42.5 meters. So I mean, you're talking well over 100 feet of travel. And then we've got little niche products within. This black one here is actually a product that can give us your linear distance as well as acceleration or your speed. And the inherent value to this, you can also actually get a inclinometer built in, so it'll tell you as this thing goes out and it tips up, we can give you all of that data all over the CAN bus. So we've got a number of really neat products that can fit just about any type of linear application that you have available. Again, so it's whether it's from like a linear magnetic or a traditional draw wire encoder, or some people like to refer to them as string pots. Turck is your full solution for any type of linear application. In the rotary family now, similar to the linear products, we do have a few different series. The first of which, again, is a Q-track family, so it's still that same inductive technology. Again, there's another slide that we can embed here with some videos that we had taken. But like the other one, it's actually expanded to more than 3 products now. But as you can see, there's a QR14, a QR24, a DSU35 series that I'll explain further in the other videos. There's also the one that on the next slide coming up here that'll explain the newest offering that we have. But really just know that now instead of a linear sense, so instead of a printed circuit board that stretches from one side to the other, we actually wrapped that board in 360 degrees of rotation, so we can get you a full measurement within a rotation to give you rotary feedback. So the next step in our inductive technology type, or our Q-Track family, is actually doing something a little different than the previous products that we saw. We had a similar housing in the QR14 that did linear position, so it had a 25 millimeter stroke. What that meant is that there was a board internal to here that just a linear position measurement. Now, our new rotary position products take that same technology type, the same inductive technology that works between a board inside the sensor and potted coil assembly that's inside the positioning element. But now we wrap it in a rotary design, so it actually gives you 360 degrees of measurement in a rotary package instead of doing it linearly. So now as the positioning element rotates, if it's on a shaft or something else that spins, we can pick that up and give you that positional data rotary instead of linear. So this particular housing, again, is the QR14. It's 14 millimeters thick. We've got a few different output types. This particular one gives you both 4 to 20 and 0 to 10 volt output all in one package. They just have separate wires or separate pins to distinguish between the 2 output types. As well as this product is fully teachable. So if you're not interested in the full 360 degrees rotation and your customer really only needs 0 to 90, for instance, you can teach that as a range and your output will correspond to that taught span. These Q-Track families are all fully potted. That gives them a nice IP rating of IP68, 69K. As well as the biggest technology feature with this inductive family is that it's non-contact. So it gives us the ability for this positioning element to move slightly as it is actually rotating, and it doesn't affect the output or the way that the sensor works. So again, inductive technology, this is our smallest housing in a QR14. We also have this in some mobile equipment versions as well. But it's a great little package that can give you up to 360 degrees of rotation and is a very economical device. The next sensor in our rotary inductive family is the QR24 package. As you can tell, it's still a round package meant for rotary position. It's a little bit larger than the QR14 or the QR20. But what you'll notice is it's actually a little more ruggedized. It has an all-metal housing. This particular one is an aluminum cast housing. But we also have a stainless steel that's a material for any environments that are a little more harsh, or you've got a washdown application that requires something other than aluminum. But this particular family, it works the exact same way as the others. It's still a board that's wrapped rotary, so 360 degrees of rotation. You still need the positioning element to get you that positional feedback. But this product was designed to be a little bit more of a modular design. With this element, since these are really geared to go on top of motors, they use a reducing bushing inside, which can be easily removed, and other sizes can be put in. So now you can just stock one element, but you can stock a number of different reducing bushings. So if you have an application that requires a 3/4 inch bore or a 6 millimeter, we've got a number of different inserts that can easily just be stocked as a cheap component that you can pop in, pop out, and it'll work on essentially any type of shaft that you have. So again, the element does have to sit in front of the active face. It does spin around. This particular product has a few more output options. We have your standard analog, so you can still do your 4 to 20 milliamp or 0 to 10 volt in one output, in one package, I should say. We also have an incremental, so it's like a quadrature style output. We have CAN open, we have SSI, and we have IO link that are all available in the same housing. They just have a different output type. Like the other products inside here, you can't see it, but it's fully potted to give you that IP68, 69K ingress protection. They're extremely rugged, so they'll be able to take the shock and vibration of pretty much any application you have. But again, QR24 housing, 24 millimeters thick. Gives you 360 degrees of rotation and has a number of different output types. One of the more unique products that fits within the inductive family is our DSU product. As many of you guys know, we offer a DSU product that sits on top of actuators that's actually meant to drive a ball valve or a butterfly valve, like a 90-degree valve that just opens and closes. We have a traditional line that just uses proximity sensors to give you that open-close feedback. But what we did is we took a technology that we had, and it worked very well in other housings, and we put it inside a similar package to fit on top of those actuators. So this DSU product, it works the same way as the rest of the inductive technology. It gives you 360 degrees of positional measurement. It gives you analog feedback. Out of this device, you get both 4 to 20 and 0 to 10 volt output. So, it's just on pin 2 or pin 4. But it's meant to fit on top of an actuator. So we've got the standardized mounting patterns that are used on actuators. We've got an element that's geared to fit on top of the stem. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a notch in here that goes inside the stem of the actuator. And they mount nice and compact on the top. Now, the main advantage to doing this is that instead of just giving you an open-close position, which is what most valves are doing, this gives you the ability to now give you continuous positional measurement of that valve. So in instances where the valve's been in service a long time and it's not quite turning the full 90 degrees anymore, you're able to monitor that and set up maintenance or different periodical checks just to make sure everything is working the way it's intended to. So it takes that kind of that primitive on-off, open-close type technology, and it takes it a step further to give us continuous measurement to try to do a full rotary positional measurement on something that may only spin 90 degrees. But it gives you the ability to teach it down to your span, as well as just trying to monitor and predict what's going on with the system. So again, it's a little bit of a niche product. It's meant to fit a more unique application. But this particular one comes with the 4 to 20, 0 to 10 volt output. We also have a dual set point. So if you really just want to know open close, you can teach those open close positions very easily with a teach sequence. So again, DSU 35 family, inductive technology, gives you up to 360 degrees of measurement. The next sensor type within our Q-Track family is the QR20 housing. As you can tell, it looks similar to the QR14, other than the color difference. It's a little bit thicker. This is a 20 millimeter thick housing, but it works the exact same way as the rest of the Q-Track family. So we still do up to 360 degrees of rotation. But one of the main benefits to this particular housing is that inside there is a cavity that this element can sit inside and still give you that measurement. So it can give you whatever you're trying to measure, but when it's mounted, it completely encapsulates that positioning element within inside of the housing itself. So those are the applications where you're trying to keep out dust, debris, even just fingers away from things that are spinning. It's got an O-ring seal, so it actually does a very nice job of just covering it up, keeping that element out of the way so you can't even see it's present. But it works the same way. It's just internal to the sensor. It will work on the outside as well, so it's not like it has to be mounted internally, but it does give you a little more flexibility as far as installation goes. This particular series of sensor was really meant for mobile equipment families. So anything that's outside, that lives outside, it's a mobile equipment type piece of equipment. It's really geared for that. So with the operating voltage and the output type, as well as to keep the cost down, we went to a single board design internally to this, which means that it doesn't give you the ability to teach new spans like you do with the other families. This one comes with a predefined range. It's all part of the part number key, but it comes with that measuring span preset inside it, and there's no way to teach around it. The other features of this is, like this particular product, it does come with an M12, but we also have a cable outlet on here, and we can incorporate other different types of mold-on connectors on the end. So if you want a pigtail M12, or our overmolded Deutsch is actually a standard product within this particular family. So again, QR20 family, the element can work on the outside, on the inside. It's fully potted. It gives you an IP68, IP69K rating for ingress protection. And it's really suited to be a lower cost device that's meant for mobile equipment. The newest product within the Q-Track family is the QR20 series. As you can tell, or maybe you can't tell, it looks very similar to the QR14, and it is. Other than it's also got this cavity on the inside of the product here that we can actually nest the positioning element inside of if you don't want to have it outside, but that gives it the little extra protection from being exposed to the the external elements or whatever it's getting installed on. This is really meant more for mobile equipment. We also talk about it in that previous video with that we do all of the rotary products, but it's really geared more for mobile equipment. So it's kind of a lower cost alternative, and it's really has the outputs and the voltage ranges and the temperature, operating temperatures are all geared more for mobile equipment. Just going over some brief applications and competition, but more so on the application side. And this goes for Turck position products in general. The easiest thing to say is if you can see what your customers are actually trying to do, if you can see the equipment they're coming up with or what they're trying to develop, and if you see anything that moves whatsoever, if it goes up, down, side to side, inside, outside, spins around and loops, it just, you're going to know that we're going to have some product to fit. But within the rotary ones, like I said, we're really strong in the mobile equipment. So if you've got outriggers that go out and down, that's where these products come really, really important as far as picking up on, like say where the pads, if they're down in place so the truck is stabilized. Or for instance, dancer arms. For those of you guys that have like web control, those dancers are a really tough application when you're trying to keep that tension on there, and that's where our non-contact Q-Track family really delivers its biggest advantage over a lot of other products. But yeah, like I said, anything you see out there that moves, if it's round and round, up, down, straight, or if it tips or whatever, just know that Turck's got a product that's going to fit your needs. Finally, in the rotary side of things from our offering, as I had explained earlier, Turck really has done a great job of developing and pushing our encoder families. Not only do we have an incremental product, which there's a lot of other competition out there that does this, your EPCs, which is encoder products, your Dynapars, your Heidenhains, your SICK, those guys, which is a lot of them just kind of stick to the incremental versions. But we also have a full absolute line as well. And what we mean by absolute is an incremental is, so on an incremental side, you just need a starting reference point, and as it spins around and around and around, it gives you that position data. The absolute products is what it is it's a series, or it depends on the technology it's used, but it's always going to give you a current position. So the difference between single turn and multi-turn absolutes is that single turn is always going to give you the known position within one revolution, within 360 degrees. That's single turn. When you're looking at multi-turn products, it means how many times has it gone around and around and around, not just within one rotation, which it does because it's an absolute product, but it also tells you how many times has it gone past go, how many times has it spun, and to give you a little bit better feedback. Again, we made another video to try to help explain some of this and show you a few of them. Just know that, like I said, Turck's got a full portfolio of all encoder products, shafted, hollow shaft, incrementals, absolutes, with every type of bus or field bus protocol that you can imagine. So yeah, take a look at the video. If you guys ever have any questions, this is a huge part of what I deal with on a daily basis, is this family. So if you have competition that you're trying to cross, or if you're just trying to get a little help navigating what we have to offer, give me a call, send me an email, and we'll get you all straightened away in no time. Within the Turck rotary encoder line, we've got a full plethora of products. And they fit basically into two subsets of products, kind of like the linear. We've got an incremental type product, which is your traditional encoder, but with a pulsed output, as well as an absolute family. And the absolutes are broken into both single turn, so within one revolution of absolute position, or multi-turn encoders, which is actually absolute single turn position as well as how many turns it has gone. So as you can see in front of you here, there's a number of different package sizes from a very small, this is a 24 millimeter housing or almost a 1-inch housing, to one of our largest for large vector motors. This can go up to a 42 millimeter shaft diameter. So there's a number of different sizing there depending on what your application needs are. But just some of the key highlights are, in the incremental family, we've got even from the small to the large, the output types are a standard TTL or an HTL, so a low level 5-volt output to a 24-volt quadrature style output. We do have one family that has sine cosine signals for those of you that like to interpret the sine cosine instead of getting the quadrature. And then we've got a number of different features that you can see on both shafted and hollow shaft, a number of different mounting options, square flanges or engine flanges. We got tether arms. The sky's the limit as far as the offering goes. It really comes down to what the application need is. In the incremental family, again, we got small to large. We've got just about every different configuration as far as electrical, mechanical, little accessory pieces that can come in and out of products. If you've got a competitive unit, we've got a cross for it that'll fit it and drop in directly for it. So from the incremental side, we've got you covered. From the absolute, which a lot of people don't know that Turck has, we've got a number of different technologies inside it, optical or magnetic. But the main thing to know is, again, find out what your customer needs are. If it's analog, we've got a multi-turn analog unit. If it's Ethernet IP, we've got an Ethernet IP unit. We've got Profibus and Profinet and DeviceNet and EtherCAT and CAN Open, J1939, as well as some other new ones coming out like IO-Link. So the main thing is figure out what the application need is, what your customer requirements are, and Turck will have a rotary solution for you, not just on the electrical side, but the physical side, the mechanical side as well. As you can tell, we've got just a small sample lot here of all the products that Turck has. But the catalog will lay out everything that there is. And if you ever have any questions, as always, contact Turck for any of your encoder needs. One of the product families that we have is this 2-inch incremental line, so both in shaft and a hollow shaft, the RI-10, and the following page is actually the RI-12. This product family is what we sell more of than anything. This is by far our bread and butter. And what we're really trying to capture here is showing that we came up with a promotion a few years ago that I was really tired of doing all the price adders that came with what is in traditional encoder worlds, got to be a pain. So as you can see, there's a ton of different options from our catalog page here. This is the part number breakdown key out of our catalog for these. As you can imagine, there's thousands and thousands of combinations we can make based on customer requirements. And instead of, the customer picking out a part number, sending it to the distributor sends it into Turck Inside Sales comes to me to do pricing for it. And I'd get back to him with a day or as quickly as possible. And it was a pain. So what we wanted to do is we came up with a standardized pricing structure of $325 for anything you can create in the shaft or the hollow shaft. So that means any of these configurations that you can see on this page or the following page for the hollow shaft, it's going to come with a standardized list price. So now if you're in front of a customer and you guys either can do a cross, or if they tell you what they need based on requirements of the catalog pages, you can give them an instant quote. You don't have to wait. So not only do you have the pricing information, you know what your discount schedule is. All of these products are going to be there within 2 weeks, whether we have to set it up or if it's something existing. We've got a number of products that are currently stocked to help, existing customers that, there's likely a product out there that'll work. But just know that if we have to create something brand new, you're still only talking a 2-week lead time. And that $325 list price is going to beat anybody that you see out there, anybody that plays in this world of incremental encoders. So again, if there's something that doesn't make sense, like, you're trying to find the output signal formats or the special pin configurations that you see in G and H, really what we're saying is that we can match anybody else's units, or we can meet any customer requirements that are out there. Again, this is a huge part of my time. I know this stuff inside and out. Give me a call, or get a hold of our applications group, and we'll get you all squared away with exactly what you need. But the main thing is, if you build it, right away, your customer knows what the expectation is as far as delivery and pricing goes. And then to expand on the RA10s and 12s, one step further, since we had so much success rolling that Any Device One price platform out, we actually did it to our next our large bore series. So this is really meant for large vector motors. So anything that you're talking like a 1-inch shaft, or even larger than that. But you still want your incremental outputs. So I mean, this is like your Dynapars, your BEI replacement type stuff. We did the same thing. So it's a heavy duty unit. It still has a ton of different options, as you can see on there. We can do drop-in replacements for competition, but now it comes with a $525 list price. So obviously the price goes up. It's a much bigger, more rugged product, and it's still within 2 weeks. So like I said, it's really geared to help you get products to the customer and be able to give them the information they need as fast as possible. And we've had tremendous success with this because of the way we're able to react to requests and customer demands and just the needs in general. You'll be really surprised if you start talking to customers about this, how well this goes over. So yeah, just don't forget about Turck and what we've got for encoder options. We're really gaining a lot of market share in the world, so it's very much worth your time and efforts to try to promote the Turck encoder line. And finally, as far as the product families that I support within the position, we have a set of what we call as inclinometers or angular sensors. Again, we made some videos to give you a little bit more visual representation of the product. But know that there's really 3 products. They fall within a couple of categories, but it's really a single axis, a dual axis, and then we've got one with a bus protocol, as in the can open that you can see on here. But the single axis, as I explained in the videos, means it's just within 1 revolution, so it has to stand vertically. The dual axis is actually an X and Y axis, so it sits horizontally and it tips left, right, or front, back. Yeah, there's a number of different output configurations and measurement ranges, and there's a lot of versatility to this family as well, with teaching capabilities. So yeah, watch the videos. Again, if there's any questions at all, give us a ring. We'll be able to get you squared away. But yeah, we've been running the inclinometer family for a number of years now, and they work extremely well. Turck also has a full line of inclinometer products. Some refer to this as an angular sensor or a tilt sensor. We refer to it as a inclinometer. And really what it's to do is to give you angle measurement of your application. We have 2 different styles of products, even though they look similar. We have a single axis product, which is actually meant to be mounted vertically. It's hard to see in the picture here. And then it rotates up to 360 degrees. So looking at it this face, it rotates clockwise or counterclockwise. We have a dual axis inclinometer, and this is meant to measure a horizontal surface. So mounted just like you're seeing now, but to give you a Y or an X axis tilt measurement from the sensor. And we also have a third product. It's still housed in a little bit larger housing. And the reason for that is that this one is broadcast over the CAN bus. So it's actually going to give you your angular measurement, but it's going to broadcast over a CAN open interface. So with these products, whether it's mounted horizontally or vertically, we have a few different output options, it being a 4 to 20 milliamp, a 0 to 5 volt, or also a 5 volt supply with a ratiometric type output. But again, the main key points are vertical orientation up to 360 degrees rotation, and we can measure counterclockwise or clockwise. Dual axis for X and Y, or a little bit larger interface for those mobile equipment or factory automation where you do have a CAN open interface available. I want to thank you again for taking the time to look through the brief overview of Turck position sensors. Um, as you can tell, there's a lot of products that we have. The slides don't do it justice. We do have the B1027 catalog, as well as a lot of documentation on the Turck app that does, it helps to support a lot of the products. The main thing is know that you have a full support team here at Turck that's here to help out in case you do come across applications or have questions that are a little confusing, or you have customer requests or whatever. We've got a Turck application engineering group that's got a lot of experience trying to help with product specification, as well as me. I'm available whenever. If you want to shoot me an email, I'm at kyle.horsman@turck.com. Always give me a phone call. We'll like I said, there's a lot of products, there's a lot of things to go through, there's a lot of knowledge that goes to specifying some of these products, so we'll be able to get you squared away. The main thing is you just know that you've got a full team here. We're all here to help you out and hopefully help you sell more Turck products.